Does this sound familiar? You want to get in shape, or at least in better shape. You get yourself energized. You start your workouts with all this enthusiasm, only to taper off and then to finally stop. So, what is it? What is it that motivates you to stick with your workout? Well, I would like to argue that it's fun. You need to have some fun when you're working out. Hello, and welcome to Living Well with Robin Stoloff, empowering you to live a healthier life. We have a great guest today who is a veteran in the fitness field. Hello, Chris Stevenson. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Robin. I really appreciate it.
You know, one of the things about fitness is that the only way it works is if you do it. And that is one of the things that we want to talk about today. But first, before we get into that, let me just quickly read your bio. Chris Stevenson is an international speaker, former Power Ranger stuntman, which not many people can claim that they were that. Founder of Stevenson Consulting, a full-service consulting firm based in California. I know you're in the LA area. Chris's current focus is to help businesses and entrepreneurs of all types maximize potential, and his expertise stems from his past hands-on experience in all aspects of the health club industry. And for almost 20 years, Chris and his team successfully owned and operated Stevenson Fitness, a full-service boutique health club in Southern California. And now you have a new venture called Be Military Fit, the world leader in military fitness and outdoor training with Bear Grylls, one of the most recognized faces in survival and outdoor adventure. I'm exhausted already. We didn't really start. So you have a lot going on. And I want to talk to you about being military fit because it can be done outdoors and it can also be done online because we're
hmm
not sure if we'll have one in our community here in New Jersey. But let's just talk a little bit about staying motivated. That's such a big issue with so many people in fitness. How do people stick with it? How do they stay motivated?
Well, I think what you said before, you hit the nail on the head. Fun is huge. But let me share this with you. So in the years that the last club that we owned and operated, and the previous club to that, I've been doing this thing forever. Everybody has treadmills and everybody's got dumbbells and everybody's got classes. But one thing we've always focused on was creating a culture that wrapped around creating an amazing member experience. So it was engaging, it was fun, it was training your team members to make sure that everybody got a warm welcome and a fond farewell, and teaching your personal trainers and group exercise people to be fun and innovative and inviting. So a very inclusive culture, because I think the word fitness in itself is exclusive, right? Most people identify as I'm fit or I'm not. It's kind of an
Yes,
exclusive
yes,
word.
that's
And
true.
what we've always focused on, I think we were a little bit ahead of the curve, was creating environments that people really enjoyed being there, the social connection,
Yes.
again, the fun, the innovation.
And
Because
we've missed so
if
much of that this past
yeah,
year,
yeah, if
because
you
of
don't
COVID.
like what you're doing, you're not going to continue to do it. And to get healthy, you've got to be on that journey and you've got to commit to doing it on a regular basis.
Yes. So what's the secret sauce? You just need to. I mean, there's a million ways to get to the same thing. If you want to be stronger, if you want to be faster, if you want to just be more fit, whatever that is, there's a lot of ways to get there. So is
hmm
the secret finding something you can stay with?
It's funny that you say that. So I did executive wellness for Fortune 500 companies for years. And obviously, these executives were super stressed, time crunch. Uh,
Yes.
they had these sort of rough lifestyles where often, the first thing we put off is our exercise, right? So um,
Yeah, sadly,
that, that,
that should be the
that,
first thing that you do, not put off.
so a lot of times when I was presenting to these people, I would say, for cardio as an example, I'd say, you got to find something that you find fun. And you'd see these faces in the audience like, none of it's fun. So then I changed that to something that you at least could see yourself doing several times a week. But in all honesty, like for example, if you run, you use more of your body. It's a harder exercise than riding
Yeah.
a bike per se. Neither one is
hmm
bad. But if you're
Right.
like, I hate running, but I'm going to try to do it, you're going to fail, right? But if you're
I
like,
agree.
okay, so maybe I don't burn quite as many calories on the bike, but I can do it because it feels better on my body and I enjoy it. Or if you're like me, I do run outside a little bit, but I love hopping on a piece of cardio and watching Netflix. It's like the one time in my life I have time to watch a show. But you know what? But I do it. And I
I
swear
like
to you,
that.
there have
Yeah.
been times I'm like, I got to do something today because I got to see what happened in episode 8 of
Yeah.
that series, right?
So I
So
might as
yeah,
well get on my treadmill. I
yeah,
like that.
it doesn't have to be, exercise often gets this bad rap where I've got to do the most extreme thing, or I've got to, if I'm not running a marathon, it's not worth doing. No, find
Yes.
something that feels good, at least that you don't totally hate, that works in your schedule time wise, right? It doesn't have to be an hour. It can be a half an hour, it can be 20 minutes. So
Yes.
figuring out things that work in your lifestyle that you don't mind doing and that you can see yourself sustaining.
Yes,
over a period
that
of
is a
time.
really good tip because I do agree. If you don't, at least, if it's not something at least that you can handle, that you, if you hate
Mhm.
it, if you don't like to run, don't run. There's other things, there's other ways to get there. And I do agree with it. That's what I kind of like about classes in some ways. I think it motivates a lot of people because you're doing it in a group. There's somebody kind of, you don't have to think. Someone just,
Yep.
here's what you do and you just follow it. That's why I think a lot of like dance and those types of classes, Zumba, became really popular because they were fun. They're
Yep.
fun. And especially for people who never really worked out before, but they love to dance, it was a
Hmm.
great way to get them involved. I also liked a lot of the, some of the classes that became popular in gyms where people started using weights. It brought a lot of women to weights that never
Yep.
maybe used them before. And I don't want to be sexist, but let's face it. You know, if you have to go, you go to a gym, you're going to see more women in classes and you're going to see more men in the weight area
Hmm.
of the gym. That's just how it is. So it was a great way to, I think, incorporate some weight training for women. So all of these things, you sort of like hide it around something that you like to do and it
Hmm.
makes you do it more. And that's what I really think is the key to motivating. But also what I found in my life, I've been doing this my entire life since I'm in my 20s and now I'm in my 50s. And one of the things that I think if you've never really worked out or never really had the experience of it, after you're done your workout, you feel so great. We all know about the endorphins and so forth, but it's really true. It's like a natural high. And for people who have done it for their whole life, I know for me, it's been such a big part of my life. It's made a difference not just in my physical fitness, but my mental health and my success in my career. Do you find that the two go hand in hand?
They absolutely do. And really quick, just to kind of solidify what you said about classes, when you look at the business side of it, all the research and data shows that people that do attend classes attend the gym more often, have better retention when it comes to membership. So when you actually look at that data behind it, exactly what you said. So if you can find a way to get involved in a class where you have the accountability from the instructor, the instruction, the other class members who, when you missed, they're like, where were you? Where, you
Yes.
weren't there. When
Or
you
your
can
instructor
find
will
those,
say it to you. Yeah.
yeah, when you find those environments, like data shows, those people come more
Mm-hmm.
often, stay longer, and get better results. So it's
Yes.
totally solid. But like you were saying, on the flip side too, imagine when you miss your once you get into a good routine of exercise
Yes.
and physical activity, when you miss it, it's almost withdrawals. So it's not only like when you're doing it, getting the endorphins, which is all completely accurate. When you don't do it, you feel worse. You feel sluggish. Life doesn't feel right.
Mm-hmm.
And I think in regards to that as well, that's why I always recommend it, especially doing executive wellness, exercise in the morning. First of
Yes.
all, you know,
If you can do it, if you
y-
can. Some people
yeah,
are not. I am not a morning person, but I've tried. You do because you check it off the list. Then it's like I'm
yep,
done. I did it this morning. Yeah, and you feel
yeah,
good the
you're
rest of the day.
less likely to blow it off. Things are less likely to get in the way. So if you can find a way to do it in the morning, especially if you're just starting out exercising, I highly recommend that. The other thing too is one of the reasons that especially type A successful driven people fail when it comes to exercise is they don't realize that you can take small steps to build up to it, right? So the person who hasn't
Yes.
exercised in a long time, that's type A and successful, and they're like, fine, I'll start exercising. I'll go 6 days a week and I'm going to run 5 miles a day. And that lasts for like 3 days. And then you hate
Yeah.
anything involved with exercise. So knowing to set small goals and slowly build up towards something. And then also putting in metrics that show results because real results do take some time, right? We live in an instantaneous world where I put a picture up on
Yes.
Facebook, you get a
I
couple
worked out
likes.
this week. I didn't lose 10 pounds. What's going on?
Yeah, and that's just how fitness works, right?
Yeah.
So one thing is to be patient with that. The other thing is
Yeah.
to what are little markers that do change immediately? Like give yourself a 1 to 10, like how was my energy today? How did I feel today? How did I perform at work today? Or how was my mood today? Because those things, like you were saying with the endorphins, will instantaneously improve. So give yourself a little rating system because the actual weight loss or fat loss or cholesterol dropping do take time. So you have to be patient in a world where I had to explain to my kids the other day that when I watched TV back in the day, I had to wait a whole week for another episode.
Yes,
They
I
download
told
a
my
whole
kids
season
that.
of something and they watch. And like, you have no idea.
I'm like, if we didn't catch the show when it was on, we missed it. There was no nothing. There was no on demand afterwards.
Yeah.
That is true. And we are in an instantaneous world. I mean, we used to have albums and records and go to the record store. And I used to love that. It was such a cool thing to do. And now a song is a download, it's a
Yeah.
file.
Yeah.
And it's just so dear and it's instantaneous. And there's something sometimes cool about waiting for something. And that's kind of interesting about fitness, too because it can take some effort, the rewards are even sweeter because it's not, let's say, easy for everyone. I mean, not if you have to, poll people in this country, the majority of people don't work out on a
Right.
regular basis. I think it's like
Right.
what, 80% or so. You
Don't
have said
attend
before,
clubs. Yep.
don't attend clubs and maybe don't do something on a
hmm
regular basis. Then it's really kind of a tough thing, and I just think
hmm
it's very tough to stick with, and they
Yeah.
don't understand how fun it can be for them and how great it can be. It changes your life. It really
Yep.
does.
Yeah. It's funny
You know?
the way you said that too. So one of the keynotes I did in this executive wellness world was called "Fitness is Simple. It's just not easy." Right?
Yeah.
Because right, find a class you like, sweat some more, move more. Even nutrition, while there's all kinds of intricacies that go into nutrition, right? I could quiz anyone and say, what's healthier, the chicken breast or the donut? So in some ways,
Yeah.
nutrition is just about making a better choice that we most know. It's not easy because you do have to commit it. You got to find that thing. You got to do it long enough to start to see the results so you keep doing it. So
Yes.
I always tell
And
people,
you
like,
have to
fitness is
break
simple.
habits.
Yeah.
And, we're all a victim of that, whether it's
hmm
from childhood or things that we just get used to in our lives. Tough to do. And it's, I always say people have habits because they like doing what they do.
Uh-huh.
They like to eat that donut or they like
Yep.
whatever it is. So it's tough to break it. But if you challenge yourself and it does
hmm
become, part of your routine, then as you said, it is tough not to do it. And you start to
Right.
get into that mood where you feel so good.
Yeah, and with habit formation, they show studies will show that 21 days is about the tipping point for a habit, and then 66
Hmm.
days you cement it. So if you're struggling with whether it's nutritional changes or whatever, or it's
Hmm.
starting to exercise more often, give yourself that timer and just say, you know what, I'm going to do this. I'm going to go for a 15-minute walk 3 days a week, and I'm going to commit to doing it for 21 days. And then after that, then make it 20 minutes or add a day. And same thing with nutrition. Again, these you type A people, you hear something, you're like, okay, chicken and broccoli from now on, no sweets, no alcohol, and that never works. You're
Yeah.
miserable. But if you
Yes.
say with nutrition, okay, here's what I'll do. I won't even take away. I'll just for the next first habit I'm going to build is I'm just have an apple every single day. Right? Just add something, or I'm going to drink more water. And the next thing you know, I just
Yes.
tell people. So with that, if you added one habit to your strength training, like you were talking about before, the importance of strength training, one to
Uh,
your cardio, and one nutritional habit per month. Okay, that would be 12 habits in each category, 36 new healthy habits developed in 1 year that would stick.
I love that. That's such a
Yeah.
great way to look at it. Rather than taking away, when someone hears the word diet, first of all, the first three letters in the word diet is die. Nobody wants that. And when you hear the word diet, it just like it's just like the word exercise. Their spine just ugh, they don't want to think of it like that. So I
hmm
love just thinking, I'm going to add some berries to my breakfast or a glass of water in the morning. I mean, that
Yep.
just makes you feel so much better about it. And suddenly you'll begin to develop good habits. And you sometimes won't want to do some of those other things once you start feeling better.
Right. And I think ultimately a sentence that sums everything up when you're really going to take control of your health is your behaviors match your priorities. So that's the other thing. So when you all of a sudden decide my priority is to live a healthy lifestyle, then you just be mindful about momentary behaviors. Like, you know what, I was going to grab that cupcake, but it doesn't really match my priority. And that becomes an easier decision than not like forcing yourself not to have something ever or
Whenever
trying to go
I
all
talked
in on
about
something.
this, I think with Sarah Cooperman, another podcast, we talked about when you tell someone they can't do it, what's the first thing they want to do? They
Yeah.
want it. And so it really makes it difficult to say everything's off limits. That's why there's so many eating plans, let's not call them diets, that will say,
hmm
nothing's off limits because they know mentally
Right.
that just doesn't work for people. So it's
Right.
better to do it. Say, I can have that if I want it. I just choose not to.
Yeah. It doesn't
And
make
that's a
sense for
better.
what my goals are. Yeah.
Exactly, exactly. So let's talk about this Be Military Fit because this looks really cool. And I know it was over in Europe, and now you're bringing it to the United States, starting it really in California. But it looks like a lot of fun. Speaking of fun,
Yeah. Well, and that's one of the keys. I'll tell you, I had a very good run as an owner operator for years and very rewarding. And even with the presenting and consulting, I always joke that it's really easy because all I do is share things we did at clubs that worked really well. Right. All I'm doing is sharing stuff that we actually did that yielded some good results. So I was very happy consulting and speaking, and then had a connection with this company. And I'm like, wow. Yeah, okay, I'll get back in the operations game because it was just too good of an opportunity. But yeah, so it's a UK company, Be Military Fit. with Bear Grylls. And it's just an amazing outdoor brand. And as I started to look around, you do see people training outdoors, but there isn't one sort of organized, unified brand out there who's doing it to a big scale that's
Mm-hmm.
in a lot of communities changing a lot of lives. And when I saw that, I'm like, that'd be a great fit, especially for California. And fun was the key word. And it is interesting as we're doing our marketing and we're launching, the word military can be a little intimidating. So what's
Mm-hmm.
important to know is it comes from military fundamentals of being organized and regimented and conducting these very structured workouts, but it's about you doing the best you can do. So it's not about everybody being able to do these ridiculous sort of things. Now, that's a certain amount of the population, right, that will want to do
Yes.
the Spartan races, the burpees, and all the crazy stuff. But we train it specifically at 3 different levels based on colors, giving modifications appropriate for everyone. But it's just about, because with fitness, you do have to push to your best. And that's the goal
Yes.
of Be Military Fit. It's the community, the fun outdoors type of environment. And yeah, we're just super excited.
Oh, it's going to be
It's,
so
yeah.
great. And I do like that because the baby boomer generation is getting older, and that's a huge segment of the
Hmm.
population. And I think that group, which I am in, is, we all want to look good. We all want to be, fit and trim.
Hmm.
But I also want to make sure our heart works right and that our, we can move and we can get up and sit, and our knees are okay. We don't want to grow old. We're going to
Right.
all get older, but we don't want to be older. And
Right.
so you don't want to live, your life in a rocking chair. You want to be active. People are more active today than ever before. And that's why I think it's good to point that out, that you can do this at all different levels. And there's, you can maybe take a class together and there's alternate moves that you can do.
Yep. No, and that's
Which
exactly
will be
what it
good
is. And
for people.
yeah.
And what
Yeah, no,
about
for sure.
doing it online? So we've not, maybe won't have one in Jersey. Yeah.
Yeah, so I will tell you that one of
Tell us
the
about
great thing,
that.
the great things about Be Military Fit in general is when I
Uh-oh.
started to examine the brand and I was talking with the team over in the UK, I said, well, what about if weather gets bad? And they're like, we're in the UK. The weather is always bad. So to some extent, the weather is a little bit a part of the experience, right? It's that fun, given the fact that you're taught at your own level in the class, but we go through it and it's like high-fiving because it drizzled a little bit or it was like a little bit cold or a little bit hot or we got a little dirty. It's that sort of fun embracing thing. But the online piece, the minute it is impossible to do it outside, we simply shift the class to a Zoom meeting so you never have to miss. And that's the best thing. So normally we'd be in our park these 3 days a week, but we would say, oh, Robin, just so you know, there are massive thunderstorms. It's not safe to be outdoors. Just meet us on Zoom at 5:30 and let's go. So you never have to miss a workout. It's
Right,
their
right.
hashtag is train anywhere.
That's great.
Yeah.
I love that. I really love that. And it sounds like such a fun thing to do. But the classes are live, right? You would
Yep.
take these live. They're not recorded classes. And will the
Correct.
instructors be able to see people if they go
Yep.
online? Oh,
Yep.
see, that's good.
Yep. It's a two-way class. Yep.
I really like that because then they can say, hey, you got to fix this or, watch your form
Hmm.
here. So it's really nice to be able to have that because there's a lot of recorded classes and that's fine. They're all good, but it's
Yep.
nice when you can do a live class like that. I mean, we're all used to this online world now, this virtual world. And that's
Agreed.
just real quick. Do you think it's here to stay? Do you think once this pandemic craziness is over that there will still be a market for that?
Yes. So here's, and this is based on my opinions, and I've sat on a ton of panels. I've worked with a bunch of
Mm-hmm.
different clubs of all shapes and sizes. So this is kind of what we're seeing so far is one, the on demand, as you were talking about, not the two-way classes. Those
Yes.
are here to stay. Those were kind of here before the pandemic,
Yes.
and those will probably continue to be dominated by things like Peloton, Apple Fitness, because they've got the budget to do these incredible on-demand things.
Yes.
So
Mm-hmm.
what I don't think you'll see is a lot of clubs and studios continuing to do on-demand work because their value comes in the two-way live sort of communication.
Yes.
Now, it's not going to replace the live experience because that was a fear for a lot of club owners, but it's going to be an added value that allows, sort of like I used the BMF example. If we can't be outside for whatever reason, we just go to online. So
Right.
if you travel, you're no longer detached from your studio. You can still
Mm-hmm.
have the option to do some of those virtual training sessions or classes. So it's going to be a way to keep people engaged all the time, whether or not they can get in. And I think it's going to be a very strong supplement to the live experience. And that being said, you will have a small percentage of people that are like, I love it. I don't want to go back live ever.
That's
my
true.
commute to my
Or
my
they have
commute to my
kids
living
at
room.
home. They don't, or
Yeah.
their schedule's tight, whatever it is. Right. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Your
it's
commute.
going to be a great supplement, value add way to consistently engage with your people even when they physically can't be there. So I do recommend that you do have some sort of online component going forward. Again, I wouldn't, as an individual studio owner or practitioner, I wouldn't recommend you create this massive on-demand library because those are
Right.
going to be so inexpensively accessible from professionals all
So
over with
many.
a
Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
but the interactive piece is where the real value
And
is
you
at moving
think
forward.
most gyms are thinking that way now? Do you find that most gyms are saying, okay, well, we still have to have this online component even after this pandemic is over?
You know what I think you're going to see is I think some of the bigger chains, and I've talked to some of these owners, they're like, you know what, it's not worth it for us. We're just going to get back to the
Right.
live experience. So you'll see a little bit of a mix. You'll see some that, and you, by the way, there's some through the pandemic that just didn't do it at all. I think they missed
Yeah.
the boat because I think
Yeah.
there's value. But there will be some that just don't do anything. Some will do it a couple offerings here and there as a value add. Compare it to like 24-hour access, right? Like nobody goes at 3 in the morning, but when you're signing up and you're like, ooh, but I could, it's kind of like that, right? Ooh, I have all this virtual stuff. Even if you may never use it, you like the fact that you have
That
it.
it's there. Right.
There's part of it. But, I think had you and I spoken prior to the pandemic and I said, hey, you want to work out via Zoom? You'd have been like, you're out of your mind. That's creepy and weird. And it's like a happy hour, right?
Yeah.
I got to share something really, really quickly, really funny. I had a trainer who worked at our last club, and I had asked her on a Friday, I'm like, hey, this was years ago. I go, hey, what are you doing? She's like, I'm going to Skype drink with my college roommates. And I'm like, that is weird. No one, what on a screen? And here we are, where a virtual happy hour is now as normal
Oh,
as can be.
yes. My
And
friends and I have done it. Yes.
yeah, yeah. So,
So, yeah.
it is normalized now where it was once
Yes.
weird. Now it's normal. And it's
That is
awesome,
true.
by the way. So that's kind of how the big picture of where I think it's going to head.
Yes, I agree with that. And I think business has changed as well, not just the
Hmm.
fitness industry, but business in general. People are sort of like, why am I paying all this money for office space? And,
Yep.
half my staff can work from home. And sometimes it's even more efficient in many
Oh,
ways. You
yeah.
get a lot more done. So, and you can throw a load of laundry in while you're at it
Right.
too. So it makes it easy. Because I work from home and I miss the human interaction. I think
Uh-huh.
I like the hybrid idea. A lot of people, they
Right.
polled people 2 days in or 3 days in the office and 2 days at home. So you don't have
Yep.
that every day of the commute and, makeup, hair. You don't have to do all that. But, I don't
Right.
think anyway. So it's a lot more for us women to get ourselves ready. So it's sometimes nice to just have that little bit of downtime, but you don't want it all the time. I'm like,
Yeah.
I got to put a pair of pants on without it, with that have the zipper in them. I've been wearing yoga
Right.
pants for a year. I just want to get out and do something. So we're almost there. Let's hope and pray that we get to the end of this thing. And you are good timing with an outdoor
Yes.
workout class. You couldn't have
Yeah.
picked a better time to do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where can people find out more about you and about Be Military Fit? Because I know you also do things for entrepreneurs and businesses
Mhm.
as well. You speak for them.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Speaking consulting, coaching, that sort of thing. My website is www.stevenson, like my last name, empowers, empowers.com. So you can find information there. And then also it's Chris at Stevenson Fitness, or I'm sorry, stevensonempowers.com. So, if you listen to this, do you have any questions? By the way, yes, I do bigger consulting projects, that sort of thing, but I'm always happy to help anybody who's like, hey, I got a quick question, or what do you think about this? So feel free. I have many mentors through my years that gave to me and helped me out. So anytime I can give back and share some of the knowledge and mostly share mistakes I've made, right? So you don't have to make them too.
That's really
Um,
nice.
yeah,
I feel
always
the
happy to
same
answer
way. Pay it
questions.
forward because you get the blessing tenfold. I always feel
Yeah.
that,
And,
and
and
it's
we're
a
in an
nice thing
industry
to
where
do.
people do great things. We change people's lives
Yes,
for the better. And I don't
it's
know that there's anything
beautiful.
better than that. So however we can help people that do that,
That is so sweet and so nice of you to
of
say. And
course.
I'm going to put all your information in the show notes, and hopefully people will be in contact with you, and we'll be able to do some Be Military Fit classes here in New Jersey.
Yep. For sure.
Well, thank you so much, Chris Stevenson. I can't thank you enough for your time today. I wish you the best with everything.
Thank you. You too. It's my pleasure. Appreciate it.
Thank you. And thank you all for joining me for Living Well with Robin Stoloff. Be sure to subscribe, and we'll keep you updated on our latest episodes. So thanks again for being here. And remember, Living Well with Robin Stoloff, empowering you to live a healthier life. We'll see you next time. Okay. Yay.